Good evening, brothers and sisters. Thank you for once again joining us for our Monday bi-weekly Dharma Talks and guided meditation. This is our first transmission for the new year. So many blessings to you all for a joyful and prosperous and very healthy 2024. Today is January 8th, 2024. It is 6 p.m. here at our center, and I am very delighted to have you all with us this evening. First, a little bit of announcements, just to keep you all updated on all the very nice activities and events and opportunities for you all to engage with mindfulness and Buddhism and the Dharma, right? Wholly and wholesomely, and with curiosity to find out how you can perhaps better yourself in some ways. So our Dharma Institute is always open. We have classes going on. You can register for them at any time you like. Just go ahead and check out our registration page, and you can find a course that you like that suits your needs. Go ahead and engage with it and learn something about yourself and how you can view the world, with openness and curiosity and compassion and empathy. If you are so inclined, we also do have an opportunity for you to submit scholarly articles. So perhaps you have an article on Buddhism or the Dharma that you would like to share with us. Go ahead and send it directly to our email, and we will contact you and take the next steps to get it properly published on our page. We have our wonderful weekly sanghas that are every night of the week, almost every night of the week, 4 nights out of the week. So 4 out of 7. We have our healing sanghas and our veteran sangha and new beginning sangha, our rainbow sangha, and a welcoming and a teen sangha. You're welcome to freely join for any one of those sanghas and just sit with us and participate if you choose. It's okay to just sit there. You can always remain anonymous. Again, on our registration page, you can find the sangha that perhaps you would like to sit in on and share with others. So pick one, pick all. If those categories fit you, you're absolutely welcome to sit in. And so why don't we begin with the 3 jewels before we begin our guided meditation and our Dharma talk. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Sathu, Sathu, Sathu. It's always appropriate to pay homage to Lord Buddha before we begin these talks. After all of the wonderful opportunities that he has revealed to us for mindfulness and for meditation and to help ease suffering in this world. Which brings us to tonight's topic, the cause and rise of poor public behavior. So we've often seen either some type of video, perhaps, with a video platform, or maybe even in person, someone really displaying poor behavior, sad behavior in public, and maybe it made us feel some kind of a way inside that maybe we even felt apprehensive or maybe even scared. But that's what tonight's talk is about. But before we get into that, why don't we go ahead and get ready for our guided meditation, which I'll provide with you. So all you have to do is sit down and relax. And this guided meditation is on awareness of people just like you. Because even those people that we see that may be displaying that poor public behavior, believe it or not, we have so much more in common with them than what we don't. And that's what this guided meditation is on. So let's begin by taking a moment to settle our bodies into a comfortable position. You may close your eyes or keep them slightly opened with a soft focus, looking in front of you if you choose. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. And you are warmly invited to just allow a half smile to rest on your face. Allow your spine to lift and your shoulders to soften. And soften your belly as you continue settling in. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. And today we'll practice acknowledging the similarities between ourselves and others. And often we focus on differences, but realizing that even a person who seems very different from us is in a fundamental way, just like we are. And this can become the basis for a real connection. This can include people we don't know very well, people with whom we're in conflict, or even people we may see as an enemy. It's possible to develop a sense of compassion and understanding by coming to feel our shared sense of experience as human beings. And this practice called Just Like Me can help overcome the sense of differences and distrust by opening channels of compassion. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and a long breath out. And as you breathe out, allowing a sense of releasing any tensions you are holding in your body. Go ahead and briefly scan through your body, noticing any sensations or emotions. Invite a sense of spaciousness and acceptance for whatever you are experiencing right now. Now bring someone to mind that you don't know very well, or who might seem distant or different from you. Or even someone that you're in a minor conflict with. And as you bring this person to mind, notice if you experience any shift or sensations in your body. And holding this person in mind as if they were in front of you, say to yourself, this person has a body and a mind just like me. This person has feelings, emotions, and thoughts just like me. And this person has, at some point in their life, been sad or disappointed, angry or hurt or confused, just like me. And this person has experienced moments of peace and joy and happiness, just like me. This person wishes to have fulfilling relationships, just like me. This person wishes to be healthy and loved, just like me. Now take a moment to just sense how you are feeling. And as you hold this person in your awareness, what do you experience? And as you hold this person in your mind, send them good wishes. May they be well. May they be happy. And as we move to a close, returning your awareness to the breath, breathing in and breathing out. Present, alive, connected, right here, right now. Go ahead and open your eyes and maybe orientate yourself or adjust your position, and be careful if you decide to stand up. Sometimes sitting for a little bit, our legs or feet can get a little numb. So it's important that we are aware of that as well. So when we think of that, some of those lines, some of those thoughts from that guided meditation about others having thoughts and feelings of wanting to be loved, right, and safe, and feeling experiences of joy, even those people that we see and we don't know at all, perhaps, are just like we are. Sometimes people forget that. And so, probably by now, in this part of the 21st century, we have seen some videos out there where people have acted poorly in public, right? And some general examples that, we may have seen, somebody at a drive-through, right? Maybe the order wasn't correct, and they yell and scream at the employee of this particular restaurant, or maybe or even at a restaurant, sitting in a restaurant, and maybe there's a problem with the bill, or again, maybe a food order got messed up and they just act unkind towards the server. Or maybe they're at a gas station, somebody beat them to the pump, and just really displaying very, very poor behavior. And sometimes, perhaps when you watch those videos, maybe you've been a little bit bewildered, thinking to yourself, wow, I would never act like that. Right? I would never act like that in public. And perhaps you wouldn't. Other times you might have laughed. Like, oh, wow. It's actually, wow, look at that. Look at them act that way. But as we delve into the cause of this behavior, people behaving poorly like this, we'll truly see that it is not a laughing matter. It's a symptom. Excuse me. So what causes? Let's just explore a few options or a few scenarios that, could be the cause of this type of behavior. But what I would like for you to perhaps consider is, think of this behavior as a very serious illness, right? And that the behavior that we are witnessing, whether it's live or on video, these are their bodily symptoms, right, of a more significant illness that's underlying. And that's what we're going to explore. Right? What are these causes? And unfortunately, there's not a single specific cause. It's a combination of many causes. And so I've identified a few that I think are more prevalent. And we'll think about it. So the cause of this bad behavior, one of them is hopelessness. Right? It's hopelessness. People are uncertain about the future. Right? They're uncertain about their own future, or perhaps their futures of loved ones as well. And when we have feelings of hopelessness, we can behave in very hurtful ways. It's like when you're angry, right? You're not always angry at whatever you're angry about. It's perhaps something deeper inside, and it just is expressed as anger. So hopelessness is one. Sometimes we just feel a sense of despair, right? We can't control the future, right? And that is very hard for a lot of people to grasp. And sometimes that may even be displayed as micromanaging, right? Maybe you've seen some micromanagers trying to control every little aspect of a circumstance, maybe at their job or at their home or something. And if something doesn't fall into that nice, neat little box, that can create hopelessness as well. Like, oh, I'm just no good at my job. That can lead to that frustration and perhaps even to one of those public displays, given enough time, can fester up inside sometimes. Disillusionment is another, right? Very often we misinterpret reality. Think about a time when perhaps you made a judgment about something or someone, only to come find out you were wrong. You made a judgment about something, or especially someone. Right? Maybe you thought, that their behavior was, uncalled for, or maybe they stayed out too late. Right? Maybe it's a partner or something. Maybe they got a flat tire and you just didn't believe them. Right? When in essence, that's truthfully what happened. So misinterpreting reality, right? Not understanding karma. We often think that karma is something that happens directly after an incident, or maybe even a little bit after. But when we view karma as what it is, karma is what's happened in our past lives, right? It's an action from our past life presenting itself today, that particular moment. And so those seeds of cosmic karma are presented in this situation. Right? So when we don't understand what karma is, so everything that's happening, everything that's going to happen to you, good, bad, or indifferent, is really the result of some actions from a past life. So we cannot control the circumstance. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. We can get that flat tire. How we react to it, that is what we can control. I've got a flat tire. Okay, I'm going to be late for a meeting. Let me call my boss. I'm going to be late. I have to change this flat tire, or whatever it is. So not understanding karma is a contributing factor to that disillusionment of what many of us experience. And cultural and racial and gender biases as well. Sometimes we think that perhaps, a particular gender needs to fulfill some certain obligation, right? Maybe that's not their goals. Think about perhaps our parents from back in the 60s, right? Maybe our moms were only told that they could be secretaries or homemakers. But now look at those wonderful advances that we have made, right? Those wonderful societal advances, those changes, right? So disillusionment, in some sense, sticks, with others. It could be cultural, it could be racial, and so forth. But understanding that we all have, listening to that guided meditation, we all have certain desires, wanting to be loved, wanting to be safe, wanting to be heard or recognized and needed. When we remove all of the superficial, the image that you see in front of me is just an image. It's not me, right? I'm deep inside, just as you are. You are deep inside in your mind. That's what makes you you. Not the fact that you have long hair or short hair or no hair, right? So what we think is reality sometimes contributes to our disillusionment and unsatisfaction or dissatisfaction. And aimlessness is another. Now, this is not, so aimlessness in Buddhism has a different meaning. So the aimlessness that I'm referring to is it's more the one that implies, a sense of despair, and that could certainly go along the lines with hopelessness as well, right? So these are some of the causes, right? Those are some of those symptoms in the body or in society, perhaps, or in cultures that are implicit to the satisfaction, to those exhibitions of this poor public behavior. So why is it on the rise? Right? We've seen it. And that's an important contributing factor to the number of cases that we see. Right? Honestly, a lot of it deals with social media, not knowing when to put your phone or device down, doom scrolling. Right? What happens when you doom scroll? If you're not familiar with that term, it's just getting on your device and maybe just scrolling up. Oh, look at this picture, spending 2 or 3 seconds. And what happens when you do that? One, you're taking yourself away from the present moment, right? You find yourself bored, right? What to do? How do I handle myself, my inner being? I'm not sure. I'll just doom scroll, reading Facebook or whatnot. I read them too, right? I do. But we also have to understand that in order to nurture our own well-being, it's necessary to put that down and engage with others and engage with yourself. So oftentimes when we do doom scroll, maybe we see an attractive person. We end up comparing ourselves to someone else off of an image can really lead to unsatisfaction or dissatisfaction in our own self. And that can lead to feelings of jealousy, right? And false expectations. The server didn't bring out my food on time. Well, I saw a picture on my social media page. The server was on point, delivering food, and it looked menu quality. Mine does not. I'm going to, express my dissatisfaction. That is, displayed in an angry manner towards someone else who has the same feelings, the same thoughts, the same desires as you do. They're trying to make a living just as you are. And because of a little mistake, maybe it doesn't look picture perfect. Just like you are perhaps having a bad day as a result, perhaps they were having a bad day as well. So it's expressing those or nurturing those senses of compassion and empathy within us. Okay. The lettuce may not be super crispy. Okay. But I have my food. Gratitude is very, very important. Another reason, the news. Think about the news report. If you go watch your evening news, stories are often filled with violence and anger and negativity. There's always something negative happening, right? There's always something violent happening. We always see people yelling, not in a calm, rational voice, but always on 10, always a crisis. So we see somebody else acting like that, and to some, that gives permission for them to behave that way as well. And looking at those news segments or those news programs, think about the very last segment. That may be the positive one, right? The good news. And it may be a brief 45 seconds, whatever it is. And it's a good story. It's a great way to end, what's going on in the world, but perhaps a little bit longer would be more important than watching violence all the time. In entertainment, think about how we entertain ourselves, right? Perhaps we do work a very hard and strenuous job, and we want to be entertained. Oftentimes, the entertainment that we kind of turn to, maybe it is a violent TV show. Again, somebody on 10, not calm and peaceful. Perhaps it's something with some low bar humor, right? That kind of numbs our senses. Right? We see somebody acting a certain kind of way, and then it's a movie, it may be kind of funny. Perhaps we maybe react or act it out, when we feel some kind of dissatisfaction, or maybe the other person did. Very often those shows, movies that we kind of select, they glamorize violence and wealth and power over compassion and empathy. So think about that. Oftentimes those programs, that's what they glamorize. The life that, maybe an accountant would not be leading. Right? Very often, a lot of television program as well, promoting that drug and alcohol usage or glamorizing it. Right? Sometimes they glamorize it a little bit too much, I suppose. And that can have a negative effect on our well-being as well. Everybody's different. Remember that, though. So, I'm kind of speaking broadly here. Or those dystopian movies, right? That the future looks bleak. If you see those kind of movies all the time, that's where that hopelessness comes in, right? That we talked about a few moments ago. Hopelessness. Because what happens when we see things on movies, we kind of relate them to real life. And it's a movie. It's somebody else's fiction. But we may try to find some qualities in that cinematic event and apply it to the real world, when the real world is much more complicated, much more active than somebody else's movies. So, cessation of that suffering. How do we stop this suffering? How do we help ease those who perhaps are displaying that behavior? Well, when we go back to the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha teaches two things: the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering. That's all he taught. And the Eightfold Path is what was what he has given us, right? It's a guiding way for us to end our own suffering, and perhaps, by example, suffering for others. Right? So when you see this behavior, right? You see this negative behavior, whether it's in person or even a video, right? Just open your heart to compassion for that person. Remember, they have the same hopes, the same dreams, the same warm desires as you do. And so this person is suffering an illness. They are suffering an illness, and their behavior is not funny. Right? And when I think about this, I do make the comparison because it is an illness, right? I would never laugh at a person, right, who is suffering a terminal illness like cancer or something, screaming out in pain. That's not funny. And neither is a person who is displaying certain types of behavior, that bad behavior. Maybe some kid is selling hot dogs on the corner, trying to raise some funds for a school trip, and somebody complains. So when you see somebody complaining like that, that's their symptoms. That's the symptoms that they are suffering inside. And think about when you get sick, right? What are the symptoms when you get sick? Fever, cold, runny nose, right? Body aches. Those are the symptoms for many different illnesses, not just the flu, not just COVID, could be anything. And so this kind of angry outburst these are the symptoms of a deeper cause. So if by chance this person was you, and it could have been, it's a possibility, right? Open your own heart, right? Open up your own heart towards yourself for compassion and empathy and grace. We all make mistakes. Sometimes fuses are a little bit short. Maybe you did have a bad day. Maybe they did have a bad day. So therefore, it's really important to employ and nurture not only the compassion and empathy and grace to someone else, but again, if it's you, open it up to yourself. Because only you can break that cycle of suffering, right, in your own life. And you can certainly help others, right, by being a positive example or a role model, right? But the reality is, everyone has to walk their own path. So support them and support yourself as well. And so if you are given that precious opportunity to really show them this path, needful path of liberation and kindness and empathy, then you may do so. But it's not something we force on anyone. I think that's important to remember. You can't just say, oh, I see you suffering. You're having a bad day. Let me talk to you about mindfulness. Follow this path. Let them, just be the example. And when you're calm and balanced, let them approach you, perhaps. It's kind of how it goes. You can't force anyone to do anything. So, looks like we're a little over this evening. There's a lot to talk about, and I gratefully appreciate all of your presence this evening. It's always a delight to reach out to our practitioners and anyone else who may happen to tune in. Let us know what you think about this talk in the comments. Maybe you have something that you would love to share. Absolutely welcome to. That's how we all learn. That's how we can all better ourselves as well. We can learn. As the Buddha says, right? One of the greatest jewels is the Sangha, our community. No matter where we are in the world, we are one community. And that's important to remember. And it's a pleasure to be in a community with you all as well. So our next talk will be on January 22nd. Again, that'll be on a Monday. We'll start at 6 p.m. Usually it lasts till 6:30, but sometimes we go over, which is fine. And then we will close with the three jewels as we, again, pay homage to the Buddha for his teachings and for his insight. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Sathu, Sathu, Sathu. And with that, my friends, thank you for coming, and many blessings to you and your families. I wish you prosperous 2024, a very happy and healthy New Year's as well. And then we'll see you again in 2 weeks, but you're always welcome to send me a message from YouTube or email, whatever works best for you. Many blessings to you all.